Isolated by the sea, more than 12,000 miles from its closest neighbors, New Zealand was discovered by the Maori Indians in the 8th century. They then settled on the North Island of the country. It was not until the 18th century and the colonization of New Zealand by the English that the first bees appeared. In this territory, where the flora is rich and abundant, the European bee Mellifera mellifera will quickly acclimatize itself. Very quickly, it appreciates one particular flower, that of a tree that's well known by the Maori for its medicinal properties, the Manuka. Thanks to this tree, the bees will produce a honey unique in the world, a blessing for the Maori people, a beekeeping that will allow them to conserve and protect the sacred land of their ancestors. Blanche Murray, her 4 brothers, and her sister are beekeepers. This family of the Maori clan and Ngati Kuri has been harvesting Manuka honey for several generations. The country of the long white cloud. It's the Maori name for New Zealand. A land of grandiose nature, with huge territories where the mountain is never far from the sea, and its beaches stretch as far as the eye can see. At the end of October, the austral winter is coming to an end. The first rays of sunlight appear. The arrival of spring is a crucial moment for beekeeping in New Zealand. It is the beginning of the flowering of the Manuka, a tree found in many of the region's habitats, from the lowlands to alpine climates. The Manuka can take different forms, from a small bush of 2 inches tall to a tree rising up to 50 feet. Blanche and her family live on the west coast of the North Island. At the edge of the sea, they have installed a dozen hives that serve as a reference and inform them about the outbreak of the beekeeping season.
Oh no, look at the bees.
Oh, nice and strong.
This morning, Blanche and her husband visit the hives with their son Kiwa. In the Murray family, they become immersed in the world of bees from an early age. For the past few months, Blanche has been pregnant with her second child.
With this pregnancy, I've probably been stung 4 or 5 times a day, which hasn't affected me, our unborn child, just yet, but we've still got a few months to go. Mummy used to get stung on the belly all the time with you, eh, Kiwa? Honey.
Want some?
Hey, my boy.
Wanna try some, Kiwa?
No?
Maybe next time.
Blanche knows that Manuka flowers have a very short life expectancy, so she regularly monitors their flowering, which lasts only 6 weeks. This leaves very little time for the bees to take the precious pollen. In this environment at the edge of the sea, protected by the mountain, the bloom is early. The workers are already foraging the first flowers.
Kiwa, see the beautiful pink and white Manuka flower? Flower for Kiwa?
Oh, come on.
On this tree, you can see some new bud coming through. These will probably pop in a couple of weeks. Actually, I'm really, really happy with that flower on that. Let me show you why it's so special. It's part of your heritage, your ancestry. For Maori, Manuka's really well known. Its health-giving properties, antibacterial, anti-inflammatory. This is really what's given Maori a positive advantage in the honey industry and support our small community.
This shrub that grows wild on the pristine lands of New Zealand is well known to the Maori tribes. Its flowers, leaves, and bark are the basis of their traditional medicine. The honey made by bees thanks to this tree retains the same medicinal properties. At this time, the hives resume their growth. The queen begins their laying, but this year, the winter was rough with a lot of rain, and the pollen that feeds the future colonies of bees is in short supply. The Murray family has 2,000 hives scattered around the island. They get together to check on the global health of all their bee breeding.
Well, the problem is that if we can check inside them and just double check if there's no pollen that are feeding those eggs, we need to bring them back.
Blanche, her sister Mabel, her 4 brothers, Ty, Sobieski, Samson, and Walter, are worried about the hives. They've just gotten through the winter, and they must now decide about the displacement of the weakest colonies.
Today we're going to be doing Spirits Bay, see what the health of the hives are. Then we'll head across to Kaitiakitanga, do the same thing. Now also I'm planning on doing a night move, because if we have weaker hives, I'd rather move them into a Manuka area, which is Waima. Yep. Okay.
Without any further waiting, the family convoy is heading towards the northern tip of the island. For a few weeks, they will travel several hundred miles a day to visit the 300 sites where the 2,000 hives are scattered. At the beginning of the season, their priority is to move to areas where climatic conditions could have weakened their breeding.
Nice hive. She's got a lovely egg laying pattern. We've got a lot of pupa and larvae coming through. This is a beautiful hive. It's got a lot of pollen, good honey stores.
A big relief for Blanche. Here, bees have found all the resources needed to develop. These lands, which have been heavily deforested and converted into pastures by European settlers, have today, thanks to the common work of the bees and the Maori, regained their original appearance. The Manuka has taken its place. For the Murray family, it is the symbol of reconquest and independence. It's here in the Tihapua Bay, at the tip of the island, that it all started for the Murray family. The grandmother, Hannah, living in this house in the middle of nature, was an expert on the local flora and fauna. She is the one who passed on all her knowledge and passion for bees to Blanche and her brother Ty. The old family house is now in ruins, but all the hives have been preserved.
being able to come home here shows you where we started from, and it's good being able to work at home near to where all your family is and your cousins, aunties and uncles. A lot of land that we're on is whānau and family.
What our grandmother and my father told us in the past is that the only difference in the land that you should leave behind is your footsteps. It's important that we don't forget how we received the land and that we want to leave it in a better state than what we found it in. And all Maori take on the role of Kaitiakitanga, which is to guard, protect and look after, nurture the land. The whenua, the moana, the insects, what feeds us needs to be protected.
Nature is sacred to Blanche. The father and mother of the universe are heaven and earth. And the one who unites the two is the tree. It gave birth to our world. It's for this reason that the Maori protect their forests, protect the land that they consider a precious receptacle, on which is inscribed the names of lakes, rivers, mountains, and volcanoes. An ensemble that composes the mana, a term that refers to strength, prestige, which inspires respect. A Maori deprived of mana has no more existence, no more references. Nature is an essential component of Maori culture, but it is also accompanied by the strong bond that each individual has with the spirit of his ancestors. An essential connection for them, whose culture is based on a principle of genealogy that links them to their past. That's why when the honey season begins, Blanche and Ty come to pay their respects at their grandmother's grave. It's the story of her clan, her ancestors, that allows Blanche to advance more serenely towards the future.
Always a beautiful day when we come here. It's so nice. Some exciting news, actually. Number 2 is on the way. Kiwa's going to have a little brother or sister. And it'll be lovely to bring him up here to the next Super Hori Challenge.
Oh, it's been a tough winter, all right. Hope there's some honey in the hives when we head back. We've lost a few of our hive numbers, but I'm pretty sure we'll be able to bring them back up coming towards the end of the Manuka season.
It's really amazing to see how the positive environmental effects can have on an area like ours. I guess the bee industry has really given a lot of families security of employment. You know, not only just the beekeeping and producing the honey, but also through the expanding pollination needs for agricultural areas. So without the bees pollinating all these different primary foods, we would be a struggling area. Like probably in many countries, the worker bee takes 21 days till it hatches. A queen bee takes 16, and for drones it takes 24 days before it hatches. So in the peak of the honey seasons, queen can lay up 2,000 eggs a day. So for a good strong hive to be out collecting nectar, we need at least 60 to 100,000 bees. So we need to checking our brood and our eggs laying patterns. On the top of the frame, we have some exposed pupa. And before those were kept over, the pupa would have been left with royal jelly for growth over the next 5 to 8 days. We've got some white-coloured capping as well as some darker yellow, orangey capping. So the darker the colour, the more pupa is getting closer to hatch. As soon as it's eaten its way through the wax capping, for the first couple of days it will become a cleaner. And then for just over a week after that, it will become a nurse bee, and so on and so forth, become a guard, a protector, and then a forager.
After 21 days, having completed all the jobs of the hive, the worker will be able to discover the outside world. But only when her stinger is fully developed can she protect her colony. She then becomes a guardian and sits at the entrance of the hive to prohibit the passage of intruders and enemies like this wasp. Bees can sting other insects as many times as necessary to defend themselves, but if they attack any mammal, a single sting would be fatal. Defense is not the only role of the guardian. It also controls the identity of the bees that enter the hive by checking their smell. It is out of the question for a bee who is foreign to her colony to come and take from their honey reserve. It's only in the middle of her existence that the bee becomes a forager, so she comes out of the hive for the first time in search of flowering plants. When she finds a good Manuka resource on her way, she performs a dance to alert her sisters. They can travel nearly 65 miles a day to feed the hive. During this period, the Maori family may travel more than their bees to accomplish their jobs. Mata, the mother, has the role of chieftain. She watches over the whole family. During the beekeeping season, the tradition is that every night she gathers all her children for dinner, like a queen surrounded by her bees.
The main reason why I like beekeeping is not because of mainly beekeeping, because to go on like off-roading and get to see sights. Not much people get to see these days because they're too busy doing their work life.
A lot of people come to us and say, oh, we'd love to do what you do for a living, but it ain't easy working with a family. It's quite hard out.
For me, I've learnt that. I've learnt that over the years, and it takes a great deal of love and passion. Bees have different natures, and the same thing for my kids. They all got different natures. They can go in different directions, or they can go in the same direction.
So it's like we're bees to you. Hey, Mum?
No? Well, I won't say I'm the queen because she always gets knocked off. And she always gets replaced, so yeah. I'd rather be the maestro.
Night is falling, but the day is far from over. What bees dread above all else is moisture. During their checks, Ty discovered some hives that needed to be moved to sunnier areas where the Manuka is already blooming.
So we're moving hives tonight. These are hives that we've brought back to life, and normally during the peak of the season, it's go hard or go home. So no matter what, we're going to have to do back-to-back shifts. So we work all day bringing these hives back to life, and then at night time we move them. You know, the season means a lot to us because we can't muck around. We have to do everything, and if it means sacrificing our sleep time just to get the job done, then so be it. The faster we get the job done anyway, the better it is for us, because then we can just relax once it's all done. Because once it's done, it's done.
a 1-hour drive to get to the first site.
It is nighttime. The bees can't see at nighttime. And the only reason why we move them at nighttime is because all the main foragers are in that hive until they're ready to go. If we were to move them during the day, the bees that we want to collect their honey will be left behind on the previous site. We normally don't use the crane. We move everything by hand. But we're moving about 100 hives tonight into an area where the Manuka is on the flow.
Tai is going to work all night, carrying all the hives that he feels aren't in the best conditions. Soon, the Manuka honey harvest will begin. This year, it looks promising. The flowers are in full bloom, and the hives are in full effervescence.
I'd like to know what that one's done, eh? Yeah.
For Blanche, her brothers, and her sister, harvesting this honey, offered by nature and the spirits of their ancestors, is a privilege. So to thank their elders in the coming months, they'll install a few hives in this spot that's difficult to access. This sacred place between land and sea, Kapawerwa, the Bay of Spirits.
Yeah, but you can only get to the top.
Yeah, but that's where you want to get to.
You want to get there?
To put the hives.
I can't wait till we can have our hives back in here. Certainly a spiritual place and reminds me of the way that Kapo Wairoa got its name, which means catch my spirit.
This comes from the words of a famous Maori chief, Tohe. He lived at Maunga Piko in Kapo Wairoa, here behind us, far from his only daughter, Rāninikura. When Tohe was very old, he announced his intention to journey south to see his daughter one last time. His people, concerned about his health, asked him not to go. Tohe replied, "Whakarua I te hau,
I can scream at the wind,
taia,
but I cannot scream at the tomb of my daughter. I shall venture as far as Hokianga and beyond if I must. And if I should die, your only task shall be to welcome my spirit." Toi was one of the ancestors of Blanche's clan. According to legend, he died while completing this trip, where she now wants to install her new hives. For the Murrays, the tradition survived through the ages, thanks to this energy dedicated to respecting the will of their ancestors and protecting their land. Blanche and her family helped preserve the Maori culture.